everyone, Stormy Strike here, and in this video I'm going to be diving into talking about these new photos of the Spirit Riding Free toys by Breyer that were also shown in my very recent video just showing the pictures. I first off want to apologize if this video ends up being a little sloppy or even a little bit ranty at points. I am currently under a ton of stress in my personal life and I was not anticipating on doing more videos about Spirit Riding Free already. So I'm kind of freaking out on everything I have to do because I did not mean to have to squeeze this video into all of the other crazy things I already have to do. So far, all we knew about Spirit Riding Free was based on the announcement posted by Netflix that it will be a new series on Netflix about Spirit and a girl named Lucky. That was pretty much basically all we knew so far. But now we have some more information that we can see just based off of looking at these new photos of these toys that will be coming out in, I believe, 2017 is what I've heard. Let's just start in by looking at the first picture here of what is number 9206, Spirit and Lucky. We can of course see Spirit here, who appears to be made out of a solid plastic with no articulation. That means it's not really an action figure, like it doesn't move. Solid plastic it looks like to me, and yeah, kind of a little different from what Breyer normally does too. Based on the last photo that I'll be showing later on in this video, this figure and the other two we'll be looking at kind of closely as well. They appear to be in or very close to Breyer's Paddock Pal scale of models. Paddock Pals are a little bit bigger than Stablemates, but they're smaller than classic scale models. They're kind of in between. Paddock Pals are not really around as much anymore, but these models seem to be in about that scale, I believe. Beside Spirit here is Lucky, who doesn't at all look Native American to me. What? I mean, so I was expecting her to be not European or Caucasian or whatever. I was really expecting her to be a Native American. I was hoping for her to be like a Native American girl or whatever. So, that's kind of, I don't know how that fits into the story of the show. I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out exactly what her story is when the show airs and stuff, which will be interesting. I'm so scared for it. I gotta admit, I'm very, very scared. Anyway, overall, I am liking this Spirit figure based on this picture. Like, just the Spirit figure is nice in general. He has a nice pose. He looks like he's sculpted well and decently painted. But wait, hold up. What? What is that? Does Spirit have a blaze? What the heck? On both this model and the one in the like little picture in the corner of the packaging art, Spirit has a blaze. Why? Why? And it looks like a different figure of Spirit in another picture has a blaze too. What the actual? Hey, did they just suddenly decide to give Spirit a blaze? Or is this not actually Spirit? Is this like a child or a descendant or a relative of Spirit in some sort of way? Because real Spirit doesn't have a blaze. Obviously, real Spirit doesn't have any white markings. Anyone who's ever watched Spirit should probably know that. I really, really hope that they have a good explanation in the show for why this Spirit has a blaze, because this can't be real Spirit. This has to be some sort of relative or a different horse or something, because this does not make any sense at all if they just suddenly give Spirit a blaze. And well, it turns out yes, there is actually a reason that Spirit has a blaze, but this is actually more into legal terms, not within the story. I have no idea what the story is going to be doing with handling this, but it turns out that Spirit also doesn't have a dorsal stripe anymore either. And anyway, here's a comment from Christina Lucas Francis, who I believe is in some way in part of the sculpting of like the new Spirit Riding Free toys. I'm pretty sure she's probably done some work for that. So what she said here is, DreamWorks Animation has reimagined the Spirit franchise. He is a different color, lost the dorsal stripe, gained a blaze. It is required by the licensor and is not an error. So there you have it. Yes, Spirit has a blaze now and doesn't have a dorsal stripe and is apparently like a different shade even of yellowy, browny, tanny color. So he doesn't look like he used to, which is kind of weird, right? That is very weird. So now here comes the part where I'm going to be talking about like all the rights and surrounding legal stuff and whatnot about spirit. Now, first off, this is just kind of my initial thoughts and stuff. Like, this isn't all definite, real things, real information that I'm concrete on. This is just my thoughts on it. I don't have any concrete information about the exact specifics about the whole rights and licensing between Netflix and DreamWorks. If I ever do come across that information, though, I will probably do another video on that, because I don't know why I'm kind of fascinated by, like, the rights surrounding, like, movies and stuff. It's really interesting. But anyway, before Spirit Riding Free came to be, I had done some very extensive research, like, way back, like, several years ago. I did some, like, extensive research trying to find out, are they ever going to make a Spirit 2? And so, in my research, I found out that the rights or the licensing or something about Spirit had been sold to another company. Now, I could be wrong on this and just remembering it wrong, but I pretty much remember that Spirit, the trademark or the licensing, maybe not the trademark, because I looked into the trademark stuff, and it showed that it hadn't transferred over from DreamWorks at all. So it might not be the trademark, it might be something else. But something about Spirit got sold to another company, I thought, which is also why when I first found out about Spirit Riding Free, I thought it was fake at first, because I thought that the DreamWorks had sold like basically all the rights or something of Spirit to someone else, and then I just thought, oh, maybe they bought the rights back or something. I don't know what the whole deal is. I don't know if they do have all the rights still, or if this is actually going to be a thing with Netflix, which I'm going to be talking about in a moment here. Alright, but I do feel like at this point, why is this show even have a Spirit character if they had to change it? It's not really Spirit anymore. I don't know. I know that probably the main reason they're doing this is because if they just created a new show, it would mean that no one would know about this, and Spirit people already know about it, so people would be more likely to, like, try and find out more about it or whatever. And buy the toys and watch the show and all that fun stuff. But it just seems a little silly to me, because they actually have already had to file for new trademarks on Spirit Riding Free anyway, so it does kind of seem like, why don't you just make a new show? If this show is not going to really have anything to do with the original Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, if it's going to look different, which it looks like it is, it doesn't look like regular Spirit, and if it's going to not have the same characters, not probably have anything of a similar storyline or time period, which I'm going to be talking about in a minute more in this video too, then I just kind of feel like, then why didn't you just make something else? Make something new. Don't piggyback onto an old franchise and ruin it. So let me just move on to talking about what I have more evidence of that I've heard around. Like, again, I don't have concrete evidence of like what the exact deal is, but I've heard that what it is that the licensing thing has to do with Netflix. That it is because of Netflix licensing DreamWorks, and they're making this show with the DreamWorks and licensing money stuff. I don't know really too much. I'm not that familiar with how rights between like a movie studio and a movie distributor like Netflix works exactly. I did do a little bit of research, and it turns out that there is a ton of licensing agreements that go on between Netflix, network, studios, and other things. So it's probably what this is that Netflix probably only paid so much for the licensing for Spirit, and so they probably basically just got the name, and that's about it. That is about probably, well, they probably got like the general, I don't know, it seems like they basically just paid for the name, basically. They didn't pay for the characters, which is why they have to change Spirit, because it's not the same Spirit. So the legal things going on, they created new characters and all this. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. Crazy stuff. So lots of things. So whatever the exact licensing thing that's going on between Netflix and DreamWorks, or whatever the case is, or reasons, or whatever, Spirit doesn't look like Spirit, and I don't like it. I will be okay with this, though. I will be okay with it if this is like technically Spirit the Third, or his Spirit's grandchild, or child, or great-grandchild, or cousin, or something. Long-lost brother, even. I don't care. As long as it's not actually supposed to be Spirit, then I will probably be okay with it. But if they just, like, change Spirit's appearance and we're like, oh, nobody will notice that we changed him, then I'm not going to be okay with that. If they just try to pretend that it's Spirit and it's not Spirit. This is not the original Spirit. You're not fooling anyone, DreamWorks or Netflix, whoever's behind this, whoever decided this, you're not fooling anyone. We know that's not the original Spirit. Okay, now moving on from that, let's just continue into reviewing the other parts and things about these figures and try to get past the fact that this Spirit does not look like Spirit. So another thing I wanted to point out is interesting, I think, is the new logo that they have going on here, which you can see at the upper right hand corner of the packaging. As you can see, it's very different from the original Spirit Stallion the Cimarron logo, but I'm actually okay with it in general, mostly because the font that the word Spirit is in does remind me a lot of the Spirit Stallion the Cimarron merch they did in the past, especially like on t-shirts and stuff. I even have a t-shirt that says like Spirit on it and shows Spirit on it, and it's like the font of it is very similar to this logo, so I'm kind of okay with that. The clouds in the logo are interesting. They're kind of weirdly shaped, but the colors look nice. The background of the packaging also looks nice and does remind me kind of the original Spirit Stallion the Cimarron, just kind of that pretty like landscapey looking stuff it looks like. So overall, the packaging is nice, and I will give credit to that to Breyer, though, because Breyer is probably the one who did the packaging, the general packaging, not like probably the show artwork or logo, of course, but they probably did do the general packaging, and good job, Breyer. You're good at packaging things. And then also in this first picture here, you can see on the far right side, there is part of a doll for a bigger scale of the toys or something, which the doll looks like it's probably about classic scale, maybe traditional. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking it's more classic scale probably of a doll. Now let's go ahead and move on to the second photo because we've been sitting at this first one forever. So this is number 9207, Boomerang and Abigail. So these are two new characters we haven't heard about before because of all those reasons I already explained in a few minutes ago. So I'm assuming that Boomerang is the horse here and Abigail is the girl. As for the horse Boomerang, he looks like a chestnut Tobiano Pinto, and he comes with a black bridle and a brown saddle. Honestly, not very impressed by this, just because the plastic bridle and saddle look kind of cheap looking. They're not terrible, but they just don't look that exciting. I like the figure of the horse like much better. The figure looks fine, and like if I happen to get these sets later, which I'm sure I will, thank you Breyer, Netflix, DreamWorks, whoever, for roping me into spending more money. I will probably like the figure of the horse. He looks cute. And I was also going to talk about this later on in the video, but I think I'm going to go ahead and start bringing it up now. The whole TV show of Spirit Riding Free, just based on this, I haven't seen the TV show, I haven't seen clips or the animation or anything yet, which they probably aren't even nearly done with yet. But just based on what we know so far, all of this is reminding me of the older TV show Horseland, which I actually really love Horseland. I have like some of the toys and stuff from Horseland. I love Horseland. But all of this does seem very reminiscent of Horseland to me, and maybe I'll say more of the reasons why later on in the video and stuff too. But these little toy horses remind me of the Horseland toy horses for some reason. Horseland had a series of little toy horses that are solid plastic, and they for some reason remind me of these guys. I don't know. I'm worried. I gotta admit. I love Spirit, but I don't see Spirit as being a Horseland show. That's what I have to say there. Alright, now by looking at this girl, Abigail, in the dolls or the pictures and stuff, I am really starting to wonder what time period this show is set in. I am starting to think that this is set in a modern day times, which means I am not happy. Nothing against shows and anything being set in modern day time, which, nothing wrong with that. Spirit, just to me, I would be so much happier if it was set more in the past, especially if they did stuff too, maybe reminiscent of more things about American history or something. That would be super cool and super educational if they did it right. That would be so awesome. But if they do this in modern day times, it's just what? What? This is basically Horseland. Part of the reason I say this looks like a modern day set TV series is because Abigail here looks like she is dressed in modern clothing. Modern clothing, and especially this bright pink headband she's wearing, both in the doll and in the picture on the packaging. That looks very modern day to me, very not what the first Spirit movie time period was. Looking closer at the packaging art, I will admit that Boomerang looks cute in this picture. He does not look like he is from the Spirit franchise at all, but he does look cute. He doesn't look like he's from the original Spirit setting the Cimarron at all, but he's cute. I'll give that. I'll give that to them. All right, let's just go ahead and move on to the third picture here. Number 9208, Chica Linda and Prudence. Really? Prudence? Why? Why the name Prudence? Assuming that I'm pronouncing that right. Why? Why? I'm guessing that the girl is Chica Linda and that the horse is Prudence. I don't know. That's my guess there. But why? Why Prudence? I don't know. That name rubs you the wrong way for some reason. At least for me it does. Anyway, the horse here is a Palomino in a standing pose, which does look really nice. Yet again, it's got the kind of cheap-looking plastic saddle and bridle, which I'm not a fan of, but the figure looks nice, and really that's all I care about. The girl looks like she is a different race from the other two characters that we showed already, which is nice to see. Although again, here I come, bringing up Horseland again. This girl actually reminds me of Alma from Horseland. Not a whole lot, just a little bit though. She kind of reminds me of her for some reason. Again, I'm getting so many Horseland vibes that I'm not sure about this. Again, I love Horseland, but I don't think Horseland and Spirit should mix. It does not seem like a good idea to me. Now looking at the art on the packaging of these two, the horse looks kind of smug for some reason. In this picture, maybe it's just how this picture looks, but I don't know, this horse looks smug. Is this a smug character in the show? Do the horses talk? I should bring that up before I forget. Yeah, do the horses talk? Because this is looking more and more like the horses might talk in the show, which I am not ecstatic about. DreamWorks, Netflix, whoever wrote the show, whoever did all this, I'm really concerned. You better make this show good. This is just all kinds of wrong. I don't know where to go anymore. I don't know. Based on the idea that maybe this horse has a different personality, that I'm cool with. Horses should have different personalities. If the horse is a smug character or something, that I'm totally cool with that. And I don't know. I'm just very worried, guys. I'm very worried. Now let's just go on to the fourth picture before I lose my mind. So the fourth and final picture here is the picture showing all of the things, and it's not all of the things. We can see that part of the display is actually still cut off, but it has the display and then more of the figures. And I'm sorry, as I zoom in, the picture, the quality is probably going to get blurry. That's just because this is the only picture I have to work with. This is all that I have. Starting off on the very far left here, we can actually see a partial stand-up of Spirit, which is cool. I really wish we could see the rest of it so we could get an idea more of what it's going to look like in the show and whatnot. Then at the top of the picture here, there is a deserty looking background thing on the display. And then there is the Breyer logo. So again, it seems that Breyer is going to be taking control of this franchise, of the toy side and stuff, which is Interesting, because Spirit actually, the original Spirit Sonny the Cimarron was not all Breyer. Not all the toys and stuff were Breyer, only about, I don't know. Breyer probably did about half or less of the Spirit products when Spirit Sonny the Cimarron first came out. Another toy company, Wowie, I believe, did a bunch of other toys. So that's really interesting. That I'm wondering if another toy company is going to be selling some of the toys as well, or if this is just going to be strictly Breyer. Does this mean that more Breyer is going to come to like regular stores too? That's a good question right there. Are they going to want that these Breyer products things to go in like other stores like Walmart and Target and stuff? Because the Walmarts and Targets that I go to, they do not have any Breyer stuff at all. So this would be really interesting if these Spirit Riding Free Breyer products end up going to those stores. Wow, I'm so sorry I just went off into a tangent into my own mind as I was contemplating all about this. I was like, oh my gosh, this could be interesting. I'm really curious now to see how this whole thing with the toys comes out. Wow, completely went off topic there. Let me get back to what I was talking about. So yeah, we see that stuff with the things. Okay, now on the left of the shelves, there are what look to be 3 Briar Stablemate painting kits that have blank white Briar Stablemates of molds that we have already seen. They've already been released. We see the G3 Standing Stock Horse, the G3 Mustang, and the G3 Walking Arabian. So these guys aren't really interesting to talk about. They're just the Briar Stablemates that Breyer has been doing for a long time now. But in the middle, we can see all 3 of the models and riders that were shown in the previous pictures that were more close-up and so forth. And again, like I said, I think they're Paddock Pal or little bit scale. Based on how they are sized up to the stablemates, they look to be around Paddock Pal scale. And then on the right of these toys, we see the bigger versions of the characters and the horses. This bigger scale of toys appears to be maybe a bit bigger than classic scale Breyers. I'm not really sure, but they look a little bit bigger to me. They look like a scale actually between Breyer Traditionals and Breyer Classics. That is just based on what I see in the picture. I'm not sure if that's at all right or not, but I think that's probably around where they are in the scaling wise. These models also look like they have mohair or brushable hair, which I'm not very much of a fan of personally, and I know a lot of people aren't. Mohair can look really, really good, but it has to be done like custom-wise. Usually the only mohair that I like is the ones that are done by on customs that take a really long time for an artist to do because it takes a while to make it look good and realistic. This hair just looks like normal, everyday, store-bought toy brushable hair. So I'm not very excited about that, but I don't know, maybe they're okay in person. The other 2 horses that are not Spirit also have Tack again here. They have saddles and bridles and saddle pads. The bridles and saddles again appear to be plastic and not too exciting, but they look maybe a little bit better, a little bit more detailed and better. And then that's about all I can really give on those on those other toys because you can't see them very well in this picture. But if new pictures arise in the internet of the new Spirit Riding Free toys, I'll of course be showing those. Also, display-wise in this picture, we see a picture of who I believe is the character Chica Linda, I think, and here she is, like, between the shelves, and I just gotta say, that looks like 3D animation to me. That looks like 3D animation. I am scared. So scared. I am very scared. It's looking like this show might end up being 3D animation. And I'm not excited about it at all. It's probably going to be terrible. I'm sorry to be a damper, but it's probably going to be terrible. If they do 3D animation, it's not going to be good, because they are clearly not. I don't think they're going to be putting a ton of money into this to make it look really good. It's not going to be good. They should have done 2D flash animation, if anything, like on My Little Pony. If they did that kind of animation, cool, that works. Not nearly as good, of course, as the original movie, but that's better than 3D animation. But this is looking like it's going to be 3D animation. I am so scared. Anyway, moving on. Now, on the far right of this picture, we actually see the edge of another box, which is a different box from the other ones, which we can kind of tell based on, like, there's like an art on the side of the box that's different from that's like not there on the other packages and stuff. This means that it's something different, like a different toy like a different toy thing probably. And I'm guessing that this might actually be a traditional scale series of models, which I am stoked about if they do them right. And this would be really cool to have a new thing of traditional models, even if they're just like recolors of previous Breyer molds, if they do nice Breyer models and paint them and whatever. I don't know. I'm really curious what's over on that side of the picture. I do not have any pictures currently, though, that show what the traditional scale, if there is a traditional scale, series of models looks like. But I'm very, very, very curious about all that. And now, lastly, on the right of this picture, we also see a display that has little plush horses that look to be of the Palomino horse, the Prudence or whatever, the Pinto horse, Boomerang, and Spirit. I mean, maybe Spirit, probably Spirit. Although he looks like a bay with a blaze in this picture of the stuffed animals. That doesn't look like a buckskin horse or a dun or anything. That looks like a bay with a blaze. That's not Spirit. That's not Spirit. I mean, maybe it's just the lighting in this picture and it's more like yellow looking in person. But based on this picture, I am very, very unimpressed. The stuffed horses in general look fine, nothing too fancy or special or anything, but I'm just very disappointed with the Spirit one, if that is supposed to be the Spirit version of the stuffed plushie thing. So now that I've gone through all the photos and more in depth and such, I now want to say some more general things about the show and maybe the toys in general. I have to admit, my hope for this series has went downhill further and further. This show is just reminding me a lot of Horseland. I'm not exactly entirely sure why, but I think it's just like all the little elements remind me of Horseland. If it is set in modern day, the fact that there's these different characters with their own horses that they ride, and the toys, the kind of toys in general, just kind of remind me of Horseland toys for some reason. I don't know. Again, I can't judge too much considering we haven't seen the show or even clips for the show. But I am very scared. My childhood is not safe. I'm going to try to put really, really low expectations for this show. That way, so when I actually watch it, I don't go, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Hopefully, I'll keep low enough expectations that when I actually watch it, it's better than I think it'll be. As I said, the show looks like it's based in modern times. Doesn't look like it's set at all during the time when Spirit Stein's Cimarron was, which also further makes it seem like that this new spirit with a blaze, is not actually Spirit, but this is an imposter. But this is already actually a grandchild or something from Spirit, or maybe it has nothing to do with Spirit, and it's just a Mustang from who knows where. So basically, I don't think this is actually Spirit, though, so is that to be sad or happy about? I don't really know. And I also don't want to think what that means if this is modern times and what has happened to our real Spirit. Let's not even go there. So that's why I think this isn't actually really Spirit. 2 is if it is in modern days, it doesn't make any sense at all if this is the same Spirit from what was decades ago, basically. Also based on the general art from the packaging and displays, again, it suggests 3D animation. We don't know for sure. They could do 2D technically still, and these pictures are just like really more detailed renderings of the 2D things, because they've done that with the original Spirit Stein the Cimarron 2. They've done more like realistic-ish looking renderings of Spirit, even though he's 2D. So I can't say for sure that this show is going to be 3D animation or not, but it just looks like that. It's gonna be that, I'm guessing. And again, I'm not happy about that. I will still give this show a chance. Like I said, though, I'm going to keep really low expectations. I'm terrified because I can picture it now, seeing like the first trailer for this or whatever, and the show is like really dumbed down, really, really babyish. Really, really bad animation, really bad writing. I can see it all right now, and that's why I'm terrified. I will say, I'm going to leave this video on a positive note, though. I just want to say that so far I do like the paddock pal-ish sized toys of the horses. I will buy those. Breyer, I will buy those from you because those look nicely done. They look cute. Even if the show is terrible, I do like those little figures. Those look cute, and I'm curious to see what other toys and stuff they come out with. So at least there is one thing that I am sort of like excited about for the series and stuff, and not just going, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. But then again, I am kind of a sucker for Breyer and all of Breyer's stuff. So I will, again, like Breyer's sucking me in and making me spend all my money on them. So I'm going to just go ahead and end this video here because it is probably super long and super rambly and crazy. So, okay everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will continue to post new videos on whatever new things I come across that involve spirit riding free and new Breyer products as well. I hope you all have an awesome, fantastical day, and I will see you all in the next video.